Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines we're tracking for you this evening. The sensex and the Nifty ending at record highs. Even as gains remain limited, mid-caps and small caps continue to rebound as they outperform the blue chips for the second day.
I'm not against diesel fuel. Neither we are not going to levy any new tax on diesel vehicle.
Days after calling for an additional tax on diesel-run vehicles, Union Minister Gadkari softens his stance, says he's not proposing any immediate tax increase but nudges automakers to make a shift to cleaner fuels. Also backtracks on making 6 airbags mandatory, saying a notification is not needed at the moment. That's an exclusive. World's top tech leaders hold the first of its kind meeting with US lawmakers on mitigating the risks of artificial intelligence. All executives agree on the need for regulation but differ on how it should be done. Softbank-backed ARM Holdings sets an IPO price of $51 a share at a valuation of $54 billion. This is a $10 billion markdown from the valuation at which it acquired 25% stake from Vision Fund last month. From BharatPe to Byju's and now MasterCard, former SBI chief Rajneesh Kumar appointed MasterCard India's non-executive chairman, the second SBI chief in the recent past to onboard an MNC. On to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. JSWInfra gears up for the Dalal Street entry, plans an IPO by September. The company plans to raise 2,900 crore rupees. This would be the first listing from the JSW stable since the energy arm's IPO in 2010. Rescue workers in Libya's Derna fear an epidemic as the sea continues to dump carcass swept away in the devastating floods. Appeal for more body bags to prevent an outbreak of disease. Derna's mayor says that the death toll in the city could cross 20,000. 2 army officers and a police officer lost their lives in an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag. The situation remains tense. Operation still underway. The government calls for an all-party meeting on the 17th of September ahead of the special parliament session. The government will look to pass bills, including those related to CEC appointments and the Post Office Act revamp. The special sitting will also discuss 75 years of India's parliamentary journey. All of that coming up for you, but straight to the market action of the day. The market's posting a record close even as gains remained limited today. So the Nifty ending above the 20,000 mark for the second day in a row. The rally was led by Reliance Industries. Infosys and metal stocks also added to the gain. The mid-cap index extended Wednesday's gains, outperforming the blue chips today. And that is the story above 20,000 for the Nifty 50. The sensex higher by about 52 points and the Nifty mid-cap 470 points high. Prashant joins us now to wrap up the day's trading action. Prashant, going strong today.
Gains continued. Nothing very large, small, but admirable, because just day before yesterday we had a big shakeout. Yesterday was a solid recovery day for the broader markets, but today we followed through once again in the mid and small cap space. So the Nifty ended 30 points higher. The Nifty Bank not very much, but the mid and the small cap indices up on your screen, and actually throw in the micro cap index as well, the smallest of the lot. They went up between 1 and 1.5%. So action in that space is back, although they still remain below day before yesterday's highest levels, from where, of course, that correction had taken place. Now, top sectoral gainers include, sectors like PSU banks, metals, and real estate. Anything with the government in it did very well. Now, Nifty gains coming through in stocks like UPL. You had Hindalco, which did well, and there was ONGC, which gained. And there was a bunch of sugar names, right? Long list here, but this is a space which goes up together. Renuka, EID Parry, Triveni, Dwarikesh, Dhampur, Dalmia. There was a brokerage initiation note, and of course some fundamental factors perhaps also adding up to it. I was talking about the PSU rally here, so it's not just banks, right? So banks did well, IOB, Central Bank, but there was also NMDC, NHPC, to give you a flavor of what really stood out. NBCC, another one which did very well. Apart from all of this, Narayana Hrudayalaya, the company, was with us in the morning. Bombay Dyeing did very well. Time Technoplast, Transformers and Rectifiers, Birla Cable, Jamna Auto, TRF, the material handling company, had a big day. Ethos, luxury watch retailer, which did very, very well as well. The only issue which is being pointed out, of course, from an India perspective, in terms of global macros, is the price of oil. So I think that's the one thing you need to watch As we come back tomorrow, we are at 92. At some point, the market will sit up and take notice. Otherwise, for the Nifty Bank, the all-time high is very much in sight, is around 1% away. And of course, on the Nifty, targets are about 20,350. Today, we left above 20,100. Back to you.
Prashant, many thanks for joining us. Now, wholesale price-based inflation remaining in the negative territory for the fifth month in a row. However, prices of food articles and fuel have seen an uptick. The wholesale price index for manufactured products, which is the largest component of the index, has seen a decline of 2.4% compared with a deflation of 2.5% in July. Rating agency Fitch revising its global growth forecast for the year to 2.5% in its latest outlook. Earlier, the outlook was 2.4%. Now, Fitch has highlighted that US, Japan and other emerging markets have shown surprising resilience so far this year. However, it's warned that the deepening slump in China's property market may cast a shadow over the global economy. India's growth forecast for FY24 has been retained at 6.3%. In the commodity market, oil prices rebounding after falling slightly in the previous session. This as expectations of tighter global crude supply overshadowed concerns over weaker economic growth and rising US inventories. But the big CNBC-TV18 news maker this evening, days after calling for an additional GST on diesel-run vehicles, Union Minister Nitin Gadkari says that he is not averse to diesel. What he did tell my colleague Parikshit Luthra is that he's not proposing any immediate tax increase. He added that he wants to encourage automakers to make biofuel and alternative fuel vehicles. The minister also seemed to change his mind on making 6 airbags mandatory, saying that a notification is not needed at the moment. Take a look.
We need to reduce our pollution because it is a serious issue for the whole Indian society. And that is the reason I elaborate my views. This is the time that you should divert towards biofuel and alternative fuel. My suggestion to the industry that the best way to concentrate on alternative fuel and biofuel, even in flex engine, that can be a great thing. But I was telling the spirit that if you are not taking seriously, then ultimately government has to take the special tax on pollution tax on the diesel vehicle. So this is not good. Before that, you should change your policy, more concentrate on biofuel and alternative fuel. That was the spirit behind my argument. Right. So I am not against diesel fuel. Neither we are not going to levy any new tax on diesel vehicle. First of all, because of Bharat NCAP and star rating, the 95% and all the companies, only one is exceptional. They have already taken for 6 airbags. Within 2-3 months, everyone will accept it. So when all are going to accept it, what is the propriety to again making notification for mandatory for airbags? It is not needed now.
You've also in the past held talks with senior executives of Tesla. What is the current status of negotiations with the company? They've been asking for tariff reductions. What is your view? Are they likely to set up soon in India?
They are welcome. We don't have any problem. And Indian domestic market is very huge. At the time, export is also, they can make it. And because of scrapping policy, we are going to reduce the cost of the automobile components by 25 to 30%. They will be benefited. So they are welcome. We are waiting for them.
And you can catch that entire interview with Nitin Gadkari at 5:30 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. right here on CNBC-TV18. Tata Motors has launched an all-new Nexon starting with prices of just over 8 lakh rupees for both the petrol and diesel variants. The electric variant was also launched with prices starting at 14.5 lakh rupees. Bookings for the Nexon facelift 2023 already commencing and will be available in 11 variants. In the aviation space, DGCA sources have confirmed to CNBC-TV18 that the airline has been allowed to take 11 Airbus A320 planes on a wet lease. Now, sources also tell us that the airline is likely to take some more planes on a dry lease. The leasing of planes suggests that Indigo is already preparing to augment its capacity and ensure operations are not impacted after Pratt & Whitney starts removing engines for inspection. Remember, that is going to have an impact on Indigo's capacity. In a bid to expand its domestic footprint, MasterCard India has appointed former State Bank of India Chairman Rajneesh Kumar as its chairman. The company says that Kumar will guide MasterCard's South Asia executive leadership team. He will also help forge strategic partnerships in the payments ecosystem. JSWInfra is gearing up to go public. Sources say the company could launch its initial public offering by the end of September. JSWInfra's IPO will mark the JSW Group's first listing in 13 years. The company plans to use 900 crore rupees from the proceeds towards repaying its debt. It also plans to raise 2,900 crore rupees. Well, the world's top tech leaders agreed that artificial intelligence must be regulated at a first-of-its-kind meeting with US lawmakers that took place overnight. However, there's been no significant decision at this closed-door meeting on how the regulation should take place. Alice Barr reports on the beginnings of what is being dubbed a Washington AI Safety Forum should take. SAP Labs India is set to double its artificial intelligence talent base by 2024, and that's the word in from the company's managing director, Sindhu Gangadharan. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, Gangadharan, who's been recently appointed as the vice chairman at NASSCOM, says India is the largest hub for the company's research and development business. Take a look.
We've always leveraged AI for reimagining those business processes, right? So in that sense, our core talent who works on that is already working on these technologies. The only mix that has come in now is generative AI.
Yeah.
And with generative AI, our strategy, like we talked earlier on, is also to bring in the players, the open ecosystem players into our core business technology platform. So which means for our talent, it's also about making sure that we use those technologies which are exposed via the business technology platform and bring that into the core of our portfolio.
SAP Labs on its AI roadmap for India. China has hit back at the European Union after its executive arm launched a probe into subsidies given to electric vehicle makers in China. The Chinese government has called the move, and I quote, blatantly protectionist, and said it will have a negative impact on the economic relations between China and the EU. Google's parent firm Alphabet is laying off a few hundred employees from its global recruiting team as it slows down its hiring process. However, this is not a part of the larger layoff plan. The firm will retain a significant majority of the team for hiring critical roles. It will also help workers search for roles within the company and elsewhere. Bloomberg reports that Citigroup is planning to cut jobs in line with CEO Jane Fraser, launching what is the biggest restructuring of the firm in 2 years. As per the Bloomberg report, the heads of the bank's 5 main divisions will now report to Fraser directly, while regional leadership roles outside of North America will be cut. Softbank-backed ARM Holdings has set an IPO price of $51 per share at a valuation of $54 billion. The valuation is a $10 billion markdown from the $64 billion at which Softbank acquired 25% stake from its Vision Fund last month. The company will list at least 95.5 million shares on NASDAQ. Softbank will control around 90% of the company's outstanding shares. Now, the government has called for an all-party meeting on the eve of the special session of Parliament, which will be a 5-day session, which is expected to convene on the 18th of September. Sources say the government is likely to bring up a resolution on the success of the G20 as well as the Chandrayaan mission. Parikshit joins us now with more. Parikshit, outside of G20 and Chandrayaan, what else can we expect from this special session?
Well, the government has lined up a discussion on 75 years of parliamentary democracy, starting from the Constituent Assembly. So this will be important because not just will there be discussions on what has happened over the last 75 years, the government will use this as an opportunity to speak about its achievement over the last 9 years and also possibly give a roadmap for the future, for the next 5 years. At the same time, there are 5 bills which have been slotted for consideration and passage. The important ones among them, the Chief Election Commissioner and Other Election Commissioners Bill 2023. Why is this important? Because this bill excludes the CGI from the panel that will appoint Election Commissioner and the Chief Election Commissioner. Earlier, the Supreme Court had said that the panel to appoint the CEC and ECs would comprise of the Prime Minister, the CGI and the Leader of the Opposition till the time Parliament makes a law on the subject. Now, the government has proposed a law which includes the Prime Minister, the Leader of Opposition and a Cabinet Minister nominated by the Prime Minister, but this does not mention the CGI in the panel. The opposition is bound to oppose this tooth and nail on the floor of the House. The other important bill that we're looking at, the Post Office Bill 2023, which will allow governments, both state and at the centre, to intercept shipments. They will have the power to check parcels that are being moving from one state to another. The Repealing and Amending Bill 2023 that will repeal 65 obsolete laws, the Press and Registrations Periodicals Bill, the Advocates Amendment Bill. All of this will also be discussed on 17th of September, just a day before the Parliament session, and this could be a heated discussion. Yes, there will be resolutions on G20 and Chandrayaan-3. No decision yet on the bill to rename India as Bharat, but sources in the government telling us that if such a bill is indeed brought, we would need a legislative change, an amendment to the constitution to rename India as Bharat. The opposition is hitting out at the government, saying they've got some tricks up their sleeve. There is a lot that the government does not want to talk about right now. No clarity on whether there will be some other bills at this stage or not. But of course, the next week's special session could be a stormy one.
Yes, it is likely to be a stormy one, and one that we don't have much information on. For more on all of our stories, do visit our website, CNBC-TV18.com. The details are available there for you to read at your leisure. We will head into a break, but up next, an amicus curiae to the Supreme Court has suggested that parliamentarians and legislators must be permanently disqualified if found convicted for offences listed under the Representation of the People's Act. An amicus curiae to the Supreme Court has suggested that parliamentarians and legislators must be permanently disqualified if they are found convicted for offences that are listed under the Representation of the People's Act. Now, the submission to the Apex Court from senior advocate Vijay Hansaria came in relation to a PIL filed by BJP leader Ashwini Upadhyay. Ashmit joins us now here with more details. Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. So the case in question is, of course, the one that involves Rahul Gandhi in the defamation matter. Now, what is the amicus's position in this?
Well, the amicus, the view that the amicus has clearly expressed is that any disqualification that should take place for MPs or MLAs on grounds of having been convicted under the offences listed under the RP Act, any disqualification, it should not be limited to a time window, but it should be permanent. They should be permanently disqualified from fighting elections, from contesting for elections and taking a seat either as an MP or an MLA. Here's the rationale. Now, as far as the RP Act is concerned, under Section 8 and Section 9, there are a list of offences that if an MP or an MLA is found convicted under those offences under Section 8 or 9, then under Section 8, he or she stands to be disqualified for a period of 6 years. Under Section 9, stands to be disqualified for a period of 5 years. This is the subject matter of contention. Here, the amicus argues that this is simply unfair. This is arbitrary. This is constitutionally untenable. The rationale that the amicus has given is that there are a whole slew of statutory laws and legislations which provide that in cases of moral turpitude, in cases of conviction, there are a whole host of statutory bodies which provide for permanent disqualification of members, and that same formula should also apply to the lawmakers. The analogy that has been given by the amicus is that lawmakers can't make laws that provide for permanent disqualification in statutory bodies, but when it comes to themselves, they provide a limited window of disqualification of 6 to 5 years. Now, of course, all of this gains traction, gains context in light of the Rahul Gandhi disqualification matter. He was convicted under criminal defamation for a period of 2 years, and therefore, under Section 8, he was disqualified. That conviction, importantly, has been stayed by the Apex Court, and therefore, he is allowed to resume his duties as a member of Parliament. But should this suggestion by the amicus translate into a directive by the Apex Court, we could see the situation change on the ground with respect to disqualification for MPs as well as MLAs, including Rahul Gandhi, for offences under the RP Act.
All right, Ashmit, appreciate you joining us. That's an interesting development in this matter. Now, Enforcement Director Chief S.K. Mishra's tenure will end tomorrow. Remember, the Supreme Court had extended Mishra's tenure till the 15th of September. This took place in July after the centre had sought the extension till the 15th of October. This is Mishra's fourth extension that he has been granted. A deputy superintendent and 2 army officers have been killed in an encounter in Jammu and Kashmir's Anantnag district. Security forces have resumed the anti-militancy operation in the region Following this attack, the Kashmir police has said that forces have encircled 2 terrorists from the Lashkar-e-Toiba. And with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. Thanks very much for watching. Do stay tuned to CNBC-TV18. The news returns right after this short break.